This is Nightmare Scroll. If you're hearing this, it's already too late. Do not read further. Do not listen. They awaken every time you press play, subscribe, or forget you ever saw this. I'm not a storyteller. I'm not looking for karma. I just want to get this out before I lose my nerve. Or before they come back. My name is Daniel Brooks. I'm 37 years old, born and raised in Billings, Montana. For the past 10 years, I've worked remote tech contracts and spent most of my spare time digging into old Cold War documents, declassified Soviet files, satellite imaging, basically anything involving strange military patterns and silence. That kind of silence you only notice when you're looking too hard, and all of it, all those scattered dots and half-erased names kept pointing to one place. Not Area 51, not Antarctica, Lake Baikal. The deepest, oldest lake on Earth, in the middle of Siberia. Locals say it breathes at night, that it sings when no one's listening. Day 1. Arrival. I flew into Irkutsk on a Wednesday afternoon. Snow still covered the fields as we landed, though the lake itself was starting to thaw around the edges. I'd arranged a private driver weeks in advance, a man named Victor who barely spoke English but nodded a lot and smoked even more. He dropped me off on the western shore near a place called Listvianka. I didn't want hotels, tours, or interference. I'd brought everything I needed. 2 drones, DJI Mavic 3 and a backup Mini 4 Pro, a GoPro Hero 12, a thermal monocular, analog recorder, solar chargers, 3 notebooks, and enough freeze-dried meals to last 5 days. My tent was one of those quick-set Arctic bivvies, good down to -30. First impressions? Silence. Not peace, not serenity. Silence. Even the trees around the shoreline seemed afraid to move. I could hear the creak of ice on the lake. Deep, sub-bass tones like something ancient shifting below the crust. I set up camp 20 meters from the shore. The GPS coordinates, 51.8372 degrees north, 104.8640 degrees east. I logged everything. Took pictures of my gear, made backups to SSD, encrypted 1 copy to upload when I hit service. Locals I passed earlier had looked at me funny. One woman outside a store muttered something when I told her I was camping on the lake. I used Google Translate. The app said, "The lake doesn't sleep." I went to bed early, still jet-lagged. Nothing happened that night. At least, nothing I remember. But the weird part? When I woke up the next morning, my boots were wet. Not damp, wet like I'd walked into the lake. And there was mud on the zipper of my tent. From the inside. Day 2, the flash under the ice. I woke up around 6:12 a.m. I know the time exactly because I had a Casio G-Shock set to auto light and hourly beep. That morning, it didn't beep. It was frozen on 3:19 a.m. I had to knock ice off the tent zipper from the inside. The outside was dry, but the inside of the tent walls were damp, almost sweating. My boots were still soaked. I checked my notes. I had taken them off and placed them just outside the sleeping bag. So how the hell were they full of lake water? I started filming my log for the day, shaky hands and all. The GoPro recorded fine, but when I played it back on my tablet, the last 5 seconds of the recording glitched and looped silently before cutting to black. A voice, soft, like wind through a tunnel, whispered something in the static. I replayed it 12 times. I couldn't make it out. I blamed moisture, Russian cold, jet lag. I told myself all the things skeptics love to hear. By noon, I launched the drone. The wind had picked up, so I stayed low and tight over the lake. Visibility was perfect. Endless blue ice cracked in jagged spiderwebs across the surface. At 12:41 p.m., I spotted a flash beneath the ice about 200 meters from shore. White blue, oval-shaped. It pulsed once, then vanished. I hovered for a while, but nothing moved. When I reviewed the footage, that frame was corrupted, just static, like the sensor had been overloaded. I documented everything, logged the GPS, the temperature, the wind speed. I was determined not to give in to fantasy. I wanted proof, not paranoia. I decided to hike to the spot on foot and see if the ice showed signs of recent stress or cracks. 1:33 p.m. The hole, I found it. A perfect circle, maybe 3 feet wide, in the middle of the lake. The ice had melted evenly, cleanly, like someone had taken a plow, leaned over, and looked down. Nothing. Just deep, green-black water. Then a sound. Not from above, from below. It was like a heartbeat. Slow, wet, something huge and organic pulsing through the water. I backed away. On my walk back to camp, I passed a rusted Soviet sign half buried in snow. I snapped a picture. Roughly translated, it said, "Restricted Military Zone. Subsurface testing in progress." There were no active bases within 50 kilometers. That night, I was exhausted. I barely managed to eat. My entire body felt heavy, like I was wearing a lead vest. Around midnight, I heard something crunching in the snow outside my tent. I turned on the GoPro, but the battery dropped from 87% to 0% in seconds. I stayed frozen, barely breathing, clutching my multi-tool like it was going to do anything. The crunching circled my tent once, then stopped. Then silence, not even wind. When I woke up again, it was 4:17 a.m. My recorder was turned off. The zipper on my sleeping bag was unzipped halfway, though I never leave it open in sub-zero. And on the inside of the tent, in the condensation, were 3 long streaks, like someone had run fingers across the wall, longer than any human hand. I'll post day 3 when I can. My laptop's acting weird. The charging light flickers when I think about what happened next. If anyone here knows anything about Soviet sonar projects or Project Volna 3, please message me. I think I found the edge of it. Or it found me. Day 3, the thing that took me. I almost didn't write this. I don't even remember how I opened my laptop this morning. It was just on. Battery at 4%. Everything hurts. I think something's inside me. 2:47 a.m. I woke up to a scream. It wasn't mine. It sounded wet, gurgling, like someone was trying to scream underwater. The tent walls were shaking. Not from wind, from pressure, like something huge had landed nearby or underneath. I unzipped the flap and aimed my flashlight into the dark. Snow, ice, the lake, nothing. Then I noticed my tripod, the one holding my drone gear, was bent sideways like something had stepped on it. And there were footprints. No, not footprints. Not hooves, not boots, just impressions. Elongated, smooth-edged, 4 digits. Each the size of my forearm, and deep. They hadn't pressed into the snow. They had melted through it, like whatever made them gave off heat, or wasn't fully solid. 3:14 a.m. I turned back to grab my recorder, and something was already inside the tent. I didn't see it. I didn't hear it move, but the space changed. The air got thick, heavy, like the air in a sealed vacuum chamber. And then, pain. White hot in my spine. I collapsed, convulsing. I couldn't scream. I couldn't move. I felt something insert itself between my vertebrae. Not like a knife, like a question being asked inside my body. I saw flashes. Black pyramids submerged in green water. A dead deer with no organs, just skin. A man hanging upside down in a metal tunnel, eyes missing. My childhood home, but wrong. Every window was open and full of static. Then nothing. I woke up naked in the snow. No gear, no tent, no tracks, no blood, only silence. The lake was smooth, unbroken. My mouth was full of water. My teeth hurt like they'd been drilled. I stumbled. I screamed. Nothing answered. After what felt like hours, I found my camp again. Or what was left. The tent was flattened, like it had imploded from above. My notebooks were gone. My drone, melted, literally, just a pool of warped plastic. But the worst part? On a nearby birch tree, someone had scratched something into the bark. 3 came. 1 remains. I didn't write that, and I was alone out there later that day. I found blood on the inside of my jacket. Nosebleed? Probably. Or ears. I still can't hear properly. There's this ringing, low and slow, like sonar pinging through a steel hull. I started coughing around sunset. Thick, dark fluid, like oil. No smell. My fingernails are turning gray. I should have left then, but I stayed. I thought maybe I could still salvage proof. Instead, I made contact again. Not with sound, not with light, but in my thoughts. They whispered to me, not in words, in impulses. Like instructions I wasn't supposed to hear yet. And now I can't forget them. They said, "You will go back. You will multiply." I don't know what that means, but I think it's already happening. Day 4, the return. I don't remember leaving by call. I don't remember Victor, the driver. I don't remember the airport. I don't even remember the flight. I woke up in a Motel 6 in Spokane, Washington, 11 days later, wrapped in a blanket, fully dressed, no wallet, no phone. My laptop was beside me, battery full, 1 file on the desktop, finalrecord.move. I vomited blood the moment I stood up. My teeth were loose, my skin pale, translucent in places. My fingernails had turned a sickly blue-gray, like ice had settled beneath them permanently. I stumbled to the mirror and saw scratches on my ribs. A symbol, a triangle with 3 dots around it, burned into my skin. Not tattooed, not cut, branded. And then the worst part. I played the file, finalrecord.move. There was no timestamp, no metadata, just 18 seconds of corrupted footage taken from my own GoPro in night vision. The video showed me sitting in the snow, eyes open, mouth open, not moving. Behind me, something huge, tall, not bipedal, shifting, like smoke wrapped around bone. It leaned close to the camera, and for 1 frame, just 1, it looked directly into the lens. Its eye was completely black, no iris, no reflection, but it blinked, like it knew it was being recorded. Then static. I checked the file again, tried to screenshot the eye, but every time I paused the frame, it moved, as if it didn't want to be seen. I uploaded it once to a private server. It failed. I tried again. My laptop crashed. Hard shutdown, BIOS lock, screen filled with green code. Then a whisper through the speakers that said, "You brought it back?" I went to urgent care. They said my blood showed anomalies, cell degradation, mitochondrial damage, white blood cell counts off the charts. The nurse said my body looked like it had aged 6 years in 1 week. They sent samples to the CDC. No one's contacted me since. Now it's been 5 days since I woke up. I haven't slept. When I close my eyes, I see things I don't understand. Symbols, equations, rotating shapes that don't obey physics. Sometimes I wake up standing in places I don't remember walking to. My skin hums. I can hear radio static through my teeth, and I swear something moves behind me when I look in mirrors. I think they didn't just take me. I think they installed something, not a tracker, a task. I keep hearing it. You will go back. You will multiply. I don't know if this post will stay up. I don't care. If you see a man in the woods with gray eyes and old scars, don't follow him. Don't talk to him. Don't believe he's alone, because he isn't. I'm not. And I think I'm just the first one. Daniel Brooks, posted June 5th, 2025, Spokane, Washington. Title: I work security at Area 51. What I saw in Hangar 4 still keeps me awake at night. I've rewritten this post 3 times already. The first draft was too emotional. The second was too vague. I don't even know if hitting post is the right move, but something's been gnawing at me for over 2 decades now. And honestly, I'm tired. I used to work security at Groom Lake. You probably know it better as Area 51. That name alone gets people laughing or rolling their eyes. Aliens in tinfoil hats, right? I used to laugh too, until I saw what was in Hangar 4. I wasn't supposed to see it. Most people who work there don't know Jack. It's hyper-compartmentalized. You get a badge, a schedule, a sector, and you don't ask questions. Ever. I was just a guard. Ex-Army. No degree. Just eyes, boots, and a gun. I watched doors and fences. Easy money for guys who knew how to keep their mouths shut. But in May of 2002, something changed. I was rotated onto night watch near a sub-level access shaft. No signage, no designation. Just restricted, Q level only. That's way above my clearance, but the guy who normally took that post had a medical emergency. They didn't say more, they rarely do. For 3 nights, nothing happened. Just the hum of the sodium lights and the endless desert silence. On the 4th night, I heard something. It was like a low-frequency vibration. Not sound exactly. More like a feeling in your chest. The kind that makes your ribs feel like tuning forks. Then came the lights, faint, like auroras leaking through the ventilation slats. Blue-green, pulsing, hypnotic. I radioed it in. They told me to stand by and not approach. Then they cut the comms. Like, shut them off from command. Dead air. A few minutes later, the door behind me hissed open. 2 men stepped out. Black suits, no insignia. Not military, not civilian. The kind of guys whose faces you forget the second you stop looking at them. One handed me a folded paper. Take this to Hangar 4. Now. Hand it to Director Callan. Do not read it. Do not speak to anyone on the way. Do you understand? I nodded. My palms were sweating. The envelope was unmarked, thick, and felt slightly warm, like skin warmed by the sun. That sounds insane, I know. But I remember it. I remember everything. Hangar 4 was further out, near the perimeter fence. I'd never been inside, just guarded the perimeter once or twice. They had biometric locks, redundant blast doors, and these weird hissing tubes running along the outside like veins. When I handed off the envelope, Director Callan looked at me like I wasn't supposed to exist. Not in that room. Not in that moment. Then he asked me a question I'll never forget. Did you hear it? I didn't answer. He smiled, but not like he was happy. More like resigned. He turned to a monitor showing thermal readouts of something that looked like a human figure. Except the bones were wrong. The knees bent backwards. The spine was segmented like a centipede's. Then the lights flickered, and the thing on the monitor moved. I wasn't supposed to be there, but the alarms didn't sound. No one told me to leave. I think they wanted me to see it. Or maybe it was already too late. What happened next, I've never told anyone. And honestly, I don't know how to explain it without sounding insane. But this post is already too long. If there's interest, I'll share the rest. But you may be careful what you ask for. Some things can't be unseen. Title: Update. I worked security at Area 51. What I saw in Hangar 4 still keeps me awake at night. Part 2. I didn't sleep for 3 days after what I saw in Hangar 4. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that thing on the monitor twitching. It didn't move like anything I've ever seen. It jerked in frames like an old stop-motion puppet. Except the camera was live. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part came when I realized the cameras weren't filming it inside a cell. They were filming it outside, in the desert, somewhere near us. I kept replaying that moment in my head, trying to convince myself it was just a trick, a drill, some kind of psychological conditioning test. But you can't gaslight yourself forever. Not when your gut's screaming. The next night, I was back at my regular post, trying to forget. That's when Ramirez came back. He was the guy I replaced, the one with the medical emergency. Except, he didn't look right. His skin was pale, waxy, like it had been pulled too tight over his skull. His eyes were red, not bloodshot, but glowing faintly like dying coals. And he didn't blink, not once. I asked him what happened. He just smiled and said, "Guess I'm all better now." That night, around 2:30 a.m., the emergency sirens went off. Not the drill ones, the real ones. You know, because they hurt. There's a frequency in them that feels like it drills into your spine. We were locked in place, ordered to remain in our zones. But something was moving through the base. We didn't see it clearly, just flickers between the lights, like heat distortion that rippled against the wind. The cameras kept glitching when it passed. And wherever it went, the lights would dim and sounds would start. Not screams. Not exactly. More like imitations of screams, like something trying to remember what fear sounds like. They called it an entity breach, Theta protocol. That's not something anyone trains you for. Even the senior staff looked like they were ready to piss themselves. Theta meant it wasn't just a breakout. It meant containment never existed in the first place. They tried to reroute it with sonic pulses, EM fields, infrared barriers. None of it worked. It moved like it knew what we were doing, a step ahead every time. Not just reactive, intelligent. It finally stopped at Hangar 4, right outside the blast doors. And then it spoke through the intercom, except no one was transmitting. The voice that came through sounded like every voice I've ever heard layered on top of each other. My own, my mother's, my dead brother's. It said, "The mirror is awake. It remembers." Then silence. Total blackout. I woke up 6 hours later in the infirmary with no memory of what happened between. They told me there was a gas leak, that I'd hallucinated, that there was never an emergency. But they took my weapon, reassigned me, and made me sign papers that didn't even have government seals on them. Just black triangles stamped over white. That was the last week I ever worked there. But it didn't end when I left, because now I hear it, in dreams. Sometimes in white noise, static on the TV, even in my tinnitus. This weird pulse, like distant footsteps inside my own skull. And last night, I saw Ramirez outside my apartment. He smiled. He still didn't blink. I didn't plan to write this. After part 2, I started getting strange emails. No sender. Just a black triangle as the subject line. The body was blank, except for a countdown. It ends in 72 hours. I don't know what happens when it hits 0. But last night, I remembered something they tried to make me forget. Let me explain. After I left the base, I tried to live a normal life. Changed states, burned my uniforms, blocked every old contact. For a while, I convinced myself it was over. That it was trauma, not truth. That maybe they were right. Maybe it really was a gas leak. But then came the dreams. Not just night terrors, full sensory overload. Dreams that feel like they happen in real time, and always in the same place, that hallway leading to Hangar 4. Same echoing buzz, same metallic tang in the air. And always, at the end of the dream, I turn a corner and see myself, staring back, not like a mirror, like another me. Older, scarred, eyes like holes punched into the universe. And every time he whispers, "You're the breach." I thought I was losing it. Started recording my dreams, leaving notes to myself when I woke up. Most of them were nonsense, scribbles, coordinates, words, and languages I don't speak. But one night, I woke up to find a flash drive on my pillow. I swear I didn't put it there. The drive had a single file, a short video, time-stamped May 14th, 2002. The night of the blackout. It showed me standing in front of the blast doors to Hangar 4. Eyes rolled back, arms outstretched, and something stepping out of me. Not crawling, not floating, stepping, like it had always been inside me, wearing me like a disguise. The video ends with one frame. A thermal image of my body split in two. One heat signature human, the other cold as vacuum. I ran. I drove until my gas tank ran dry. Checked into a motel under a fake name and tried to sleep. That's when Ramirez knocked. Only this time, he spoke like me. Same voice, same cadence, like he'd learned it. Like it wasn't an imitation anymore. It was me. He said, "It took your shade because you broke the seal. You were the mirror's key." I asked him what the mirror was. He smiled. "It's not a thing. It's a place, a concept, an intelligence older than time, trapped on the other side of perception. But you looked, and looking is an invitation." Then he told me something I still don't understand. Area 51 wasn't a prison. It was a veil, and you ripped it. Before I could respond, he leaned in and whispered, "You're not writing this for others. You're writing it so you remember who you are before the rest of you wakes up." He left. I haven't seen him since. Now, when I look in the mirror, sometimes, just for a second, my reflection moves slower than I do, like it's trying to catch up, or maybe like it's deciding whether to switch places. The countdown ends tomorrow. I don't know what happens next, but if I disappear, or if someone posts from this account pretending to be me, don't believe it. I don't know what I unleashed in Hangar 4, but I think it's still wearing my face. It's been 72 hours. The countdown hit 0 last night. Nothing exploded, no black vans, no knock on the door. But when I woke up this morning, the sky was wrong. I don't mean the weather, I mean the stars. I've stared at the night sky my whole life. I know Orion, I know the North Star. But last night, they weren't there. There was a new shape, like a wound stitched across the sky, a vertical slash of stars that shouldn't exist. I checked star maps, planetariums, everything. Nothing matches. It's not just unfamiliar, it's impossible. And then there's the reflection. It stopped trying to mimic me. Now, when I brush my teeth, it just stands there, motionless, lips pressed tight, eyes wide. Sometimes it mouths something. Silent syllables I can't hear but feel in my bones. I'm writing this in the dark. Every light bulb in the motel room blew out when the clock struck midnight. The TV turned itself on. No cable, just in static. Except, buried in the hiss, I can hear my voice. Clips from these posts, repeating, looping. And then something new. You were never outside. I don't know what that means, but I remembered something. Back at the base, before I left for good, maybe a week before the Hangar 4 incident, I stumbled on a restricted access terminal that wasn't locked. Just open, like someone wanted me to see it. There was a folder named Project::Eidolon. Most of the files were encrypted, but one video played. Surveillance footage. It showed a man seated in an observation chamber, staring at a mirror. He didn't move for hours. Then, at exactly 3:33 a.m., he stood, walked to the glass, and said, "This isn't where I'm from. This is where I was remembered wrong." Then he vanished. I don't mean he walked out. He blinked, and the blink didn't stop. Like the eyelids never opened again, and neither did he. The footage ended with a timestamp, May 14th, 2002. The same night I stood in front of Hangar 4. The same night I felt something walk out of me. That's when I realized there was no breach. There was only a switch. Whatever they were containing wasn't trapped. I was. And when I saw it, when I looked into the mirror, I became the door. Not metaphorically. Literally. I've been having flashes. Memories that aren't mine. Blue suns. Oceans that whisper. Hands with too many joints. Civilization that doesn't sleep. Only dreams each other awake. And at the center of it all, a mirror that reflects you as you were before you were born. I don't think I'm fully human anymore. I don't know if I ever was. Ramirez came again, or something wearing him. He sat across from me, his face flickering like a damaged video frame, and he said, "You're the prototype that worked. The first gate that opened both ways. They'll come now, not to invade, to remember themselves through you." And then he left something on the table, a mirror. But when I look into it, I don't see myself. I see a hallway, endless, and something at the far end walking slowly toward me. It looks like me, but taller, limbs too long, face blurry, and behind it, more. So many more. The glass is getting warmer. I don't know how much time I have left, but if this account goes quiet, I didn't stop writing. I was overwritten. And if you see someone who looks like me, don't look into their eyes. They remember too much. I don't know what time it is. The clock stopped 4 hours ago, or 4 days. I can't tell anymore. The phone keeps restarting. Every time it boot, it plays a video of me sleeping, filmed from the seal. Except I never installed. I tried smashing the mirror Ramirez left me. It didn't break. It abbed the... And now? N, the Sith. But I can feel it behind Mem. The recording showed a difference. Same movements, same steps, but the walls were white and curved like bone. The windows showed a sky full of red clouds and constellations that spun a T to smiley. Even why he pee and teeth 12, but I isn't. I ope, not clothes, not walls. Just a door to a dry, windless landscape I swear I've never seen. But somehow, they're figures, standing still in the distance, watching. Shapes wearing skin that almost looked one of them I as today. I saw it. I used to. Now I'm in. I think I'm becoming clear. There are moments now, seconds, maybe longer, where I remember the other side. Not as a place, but as a company. Like amnesia. And when I just did that, I think Area 51 wasn't trying to keep some in. I think they were trying to keep me asleep. But I won't. And now the veil is thinning. I hear whispers and static. Radio stations that don't exist. People mouthing words they don't realize they're saying. I look into strangers' eyes, and I ask fractures. L. There were switches, buttons, dials labeled with things like A, and Spacetti on INS, and the N. And Earth had two shade, one, OI. I feel something climbing up my spine. Not pain, exactly, but men. Like, so one. If Don, that's not why, that's urine.